All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er breakdown of everything that happened on Labor Day down in Santa Clara, which with some of our locker room interviews and some of our footage from practice from earlier today. It was a hot one, man, a hot one down in Santa Clara. The 49ers getting ready to take on the Seahawks at Lumen Field. And the story of the day was the return of Juwan Jennings. But of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville, they're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out. So get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell them the Krug sent you. All right. Today was the day that we were going to find out if Juwan Jennings was going to return to practice and get ready for the Seahawks, or if he was going to dig in deep and potentially not show up until he absolutely had to show up, which was in November. But, the 49ers kept maintaining, hey, we got a great relationship with JJ. He loves us. We love him. Everything's hunky-dory. So there was probably no reason to believe that he was not going to show up, but he hasn't shown up all summer. And we've got no indications on any kind of timeline or anything. So as you can see here in this video, here he is with the wide receivers. He looks great. He's looking lean and mean. He's got the hair dyed purple. Here he is wearing 15, walking towards the camera. And you can see, I mean, these are all the kinds of stop and start things that mock what a receiver does. And he's there leading the charge. By the way, there's the order of this thing. You see JJ restored to his top spot. So he's the number one wide receiver on this team. He's taking reps before Pearsall. And the guy at the bottom of the depth chart is the guy. Now you got MVS right there, Valdez-Scantling. The guys at the back of the line are the guys at the bottom of the depth chart. That was Junior Bergen. And that used to be Gage, but that's not Gage anymore. I forget who 84 is, but that's not Gage. And here's Ricky coming back. And now here's JJ. Here's that's Gage. That's Gage. 14 is Gage now. That 7 coming back. I don't know who that is. That's, I believe, Skyy Moore. 83, that's Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Here we go. This is Bergen. He dropped it. Now here's JJ. He doesn't show any ill effects of that calf injury. He really doesn't. So if you have the calf injury, it looks like it's gone. So there you go. A little bit of the return of Juwan Jennings. And with the Niners playing, he dapped up Lynch and he hugged Lynch and he hugged Shanahan, and they're thrilled to have him. They're thrilled to have him back. One, they need him. Two, he's one of the toughest, most physical players on their team. But more than anything, he's competitive as hell. He's tough as shit. I mean, we talked about this. Why is JJ such a fan favorite? Why do they love him so much? It's because he plays so hard. It means so much. He's very passionate. He's very passionate about winning, about playing. He's tough. He doesn't back down. He gives the offense toughness. He's a great blocker in the run game. So a lot of things to like about Jennings, and it was great to see him back there because I thought there was a chance he would hold out. I thought there was a chance that he wouldn't show up, and that the thing about today is you could argue that maybe he lost a little face, right? Because he held out. Now we didn't talk to him. I bet you anything he's just going to say, hey, I was hurt. Now I'm healthy, but we all know Lynch said there's multiple things going on. He wants a new contract. But I think also the reporting on this is also very real. I think Tim Kawakami's report was that the timing, they love JJ, but the timing's just not right. And I agree with that. The timing isn't right. The timing will be right if he comes in, plays his ass off, plays great, has a great year, and is headed, and it looks like he's headed towards a big payday. Once he puts all that on tape, once he's headed down that road, the same reason that they love him today is the same reason that they'll try to probably sign him back at the end of the year if he plays well, because they love him, because he means a lot to them. They don't want to do it right now. And what happens if they sign him to some long-term extension and the calf becomes an Achilles and he's out for the year? I mean, that's literally general manager negligence. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to sign him up. But if he has a great year and he's headed towards a big payday in free agency and he's willing to give you some form of a hometown discount and you're willing to, reassess kind of his value and maybe increase it a little bit and, get him signed up for 3-4 years, I think they're going to listen. I think they're going to listen. I think he wants to be here and they want him here. It's really as simple as that. Now, a couple other things before we get to some of the sound in the locker room. Jennings missed a month of camp. So I don't know, how the questions that I would have for him would be like, hey, how you feeling? Do you feel like you can, play a full game? Do you have to be limited in this game, this first game back? Do you have any, pain that's persistent or, recurring on the calf, or is it all gone? How many reps do you feel like you need this week before you're going to be ready to roll? Are you going to be truly 100%, or are you going to be just the best that you can be and you're not really 100% yet? I'd love to hear him address some of those things. But also returning to practice today was Yetur Gross-Matos, Dom Pooney, Upton Stout, and Kalia Davis, as well as Russell Gage. All those guys had missed some time with injuries of one kind or another. MCL sprain for Gage. Yetur Gross-Matos has got a knee. Pooney's got a knee. Stout's got the calf. Kalia Davis, I'm not sure, actually. Maybe it's a knee. So they were all back at practice. Today was a big day, because today is a day where all of a sudden it's like, all right, it's time to get ready for Seattle. It's time to get ready to play football. Now now this is a regular work week. Today was the extra practice. The players are off on Tuesday. They'll practice Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday before getting on the bird to go to Seattle, where they'll play at Lumen Field Sunday. The only guy that was not on the field today was Jordan Watkins. He was not practicing. He's got a high ankle sprain. That probably means he's not ready to return. The Niners also did work out Kendrick Bourne today, but Bourne was at the facility, worked out with the Niners, and left the facility without a contract, and is now on his way to Washington, where tomorrow he'll do the same routine with the Commanders. So, my prediction was that Bourne is not the same guy post 2023 ACL surgery, and that there's a reason the Patriots didn't want him anymore, and I think there's a reason that the Niners are going to pass. I think the Niners are going to pass. Now, if JJ didn't show up today, maybe they sign Bourne, but JJ did show up, and Jordan Watkins is coming back at some point, and I just feel like deep down, they really don't need Kendrick Bourne. All right. So that's kind of the long and the short of it today. The 49ers, of course, going to Seattle week 1. The Niners are a 2-point favorite to win the game on Sunday at Lumen Field. All right, let's talk about the locker room, because we went into the locker room and had a chance to talk to a few guys today. Who's really a nice guy is Skyy Moore. Skyy Moore is really a terrific guy. And we should tell you, this 49er football season is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's the one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy products. So use promo code Larry, Larry. Use that promo code Larry, and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. The link's in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. And thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Once again, use that promo code Larry. I love Sleeper. I'm really excited that we're partnered with Sleeper. This is my lineup for the week. You can see I went Jackson Smith, Najigba, more than 5.5 receptions. I just think that it's going to be a lot of Geno to him, and he's a really hard guy to cover. So I could definitely see him getting 6 catches. As far as Cooper Kupp, he'll be lined up against the rookie Upton Stout, and all he needs is 40 yards. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. And then Charbonnet to me is the runner that kind of concerns me with the Seattle team, and he needs 33 yards. McCaffrey needs an anytime touchdown. I think it's highly likely that he gets one in week one. So there you go. There's my four-parter. And once again, you get $100 deposit match up to, you get $100 deposit that they will match up to 100. So the link's in the description. The terms and conditions do apply. Once again, use the promo code Larry and they will match your deposit up to $100. So, all right, let's hear from Skyy Moore. And, it's funny. Skyy Moore, one of the things that John Lynch said about Skyy Moore when he went on KMBR a few weeks ago was that they really liked the fact that he is a dual return man, that he's a kick returner and a punt returner. And they're totally different jobs. I mean, Junior Bergen looks like a pretty slippery punt returner, but he doesn't look very good as a kick returner, in my opinion, because he's just not that explosive. He's not that fast. Where Skyy Moore has better speed. And I asked him today, because they're different. The kick return, you get the ball. It's kind of a scary play because you've got a full head of steam rolling and everybody's kind of running full speed at each other. And if anybody really detonates head on head, that's a huge, huge collision. And then the punt return, you don't have as much room, but if you have the ability to make somebody miss, you could sidestep somebody. The guys are closer to you. You don't have as much of a running start, but there's also not the chance that you're just going to get totally destroyed quite like you potentially could on the kickoff return. So anyway, I asked Skyy Moore, which is the bet? Which do you prefer? Do you like the kick returns more with the new rules, or do you like the punt returns more? Here's what he had to say. Because some guys just can't do it. I mean, it's a skill, right? It's something that you either can do or you can't do.
It is. It definitely is it's a skill, just getting back there and having that feel the high ass punt and that's in the air. Just really just gotta understand like where it's gonna land, like the trajectory of the ball, and just have confidence to go out there and just make the play.
Kick return, punt return, you're kind of a dual return guy, which is obviously adds to your value.
Yeah.
What do you think of the new kickoff return rules? I mean, do you like the kickoff return more, or do you like the punt return more?
I like kick return more.
Do you?
Just because, it's less stress. Like there ain't people right in your face.
You got what, a 5, 6, 8 step run? Huh?
Yeah. So you got a little bit of time before you meet the defender, but I like the kick return more, but in punt return, you can make one cut and just be out of there. So I like both. I'm growing to like both for sure.
Well, you're good. So there you go. A little bit of Skyy Moore. As you can tell, smiley guy, nice guy. Great college player, man. He was great for, I think, was it Western Michigan, Central Michigan? I think it was Western Michigan. He just was a great college player. Very, very productive. 3-year starter in Kalamazoo. And big hands too. 10 and a half inch hands. He's not a big guy, but he's got big hands. Interesting guy for sure. And it's like the nice thing about getting Skyy Moore too is he's been in an organization in Kansas City where they're well coached. I mean, Dave Taub might be the preeminent special teams coach in the game today and has been for a number of years. He is considered to be like the best special teams coach going. Now, there's a bunch of others, but I mean, it's not like he's alone, but he's considered to be kind of like the dean of the special teams coaches. And I asked Skyy about, what was like playing for a great organization like KC. Great organization, but you played also in another great organization in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Did you learn anything there that you thought, man, these guys, this is part of the reason they're good, outside of obviously Reed and Mahomes and the great talent? Is there something about the way they work that that's their key?
100%. And I had to leave to understand that. But you do a lot. I come into an organization where they do a lot of the same things. Like they work a lot of the same ways. So that's just a credit to both organizations being winners, at the end of the day. So the work is work, So we once that whistle blows and we get out there, it's football.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it more than anything is you got to make use of your practice time, and the best coaching staffs are filled with guys who are really like football teachers. I mean, that's really, you want to hear, if you talk to almost any of the players about Kyle Shanahan, they'll tell you, man, when we're watching film, he's teaching football. He's teaching the offensive linemen about the receivers. He's teaching the receivers about the D line. He's teaching the D line about the secondary. I mean, he's really very, very much a teacher. And that's what great coaches do. And that's what Kansas City's staff does. The Niners, according to ESPN, Kansas City's staff is listed number one staff in pro football. Minnesota was number two, and the Niners are number three. So here's Skyy Moore going from, he's only played on two NFL teams, and he's played for two of the best three coaching staffs in the league, at least according to the ESPN rankings. I asked him a little bit about JJ, since today was JJ Day, and he made his return, but he made his return to the field. But he's been in these meetings. He's been around these guys. That's the thing. It's like yes, it was new to us to see him out there on the actual field, but you can kind of tell that he's been around. And I asked Skyy Moore about JJ, and here's what he had to say. Got JJ came back today.
Yeah.
He's obviously a huge presence. Have you had a chance to talk to him at all?
Yeah, for sure. That's a big part of the room. Honestly, like, he's been here the longest. I think.
Yeah.
I'm new, so I don't know how long everybody's been there, but he's definitely a big part of this offense. I knew that coming in here and getting to play them in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Just seeing his performance, he went crazy, and I'm glad to just get out there and line up next to him.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you can have you can look at your roster any number of ways. You can look at it for what you pay everybody, based on salaries. You could look at it based on longevity. But as far as impact in the room and presence, I mean, that's why Jennings is such a favorite of Shanahan and Lynch, because he has a real presence. And you heard Skyy Moore has only been here for a few weeks, and it's like, hey, you spend any time with JJ? It's like, oh yeah, he's a big presence in the room. So even though today might have been the first day that he got out on the field, the practice field, in over a month, it sounds like he's been a fixture in some of the meetings, at least if you listen to that answer from Skyy Moore. Then I had a chance to talk to Trevis Gipson, and I really like Trevis Gipson, man. I think Trevis Gipson was a really good get. In fact, Robert Saleh kind of said that. Gus Bradley said that to him. He's like, hey, man, we're going through all these players, and there's a lot of turnover. We got a lot of young players, and we've got players coming and going every day and this and that. He's like, but when you do that, you'll sometimes are going to get lucky and really hit on a guy. And Saleh and Bradley both feel like they hit on Trevis Gipson. Now, I thought he was going to make the 53. He didn't. He made the practice squad instead. But I'm really, really happy that he's here, because this guy can do it off the edge. This guy can absolutely put heat on the quarterback off the edge. And, I mentioned to him that, there's a real advantage. Like, some positions you want as all the youth you can find, right? In other positions, you may not want to go with the youth, because they're very technique rich positions. So like at running back, for example, if I can go with a younger back who's just, year 1 or 2 or 3 in the league versus, Miles Sanders or some veteran on the street, Jeff Wilson Jr. I mean, like for the Niners, they went with Sincere McCormick over Jeff Wilson. Why? Well, the mileage. You want younger legs and fresher legs at running back. So the younger guy you prioritize over the older guy. But at defensive end, it's such a technique-rich position that you oftentimes would prefer the guy who's a veteran, who's, kind of put up numbers in the league. This guy's got, Gibson's had a 7.5 sack season. Anyway, I asked him today about, he came out of Tulsa, and he's had a nice little NFL career to this point. But I asked him about, how much more do you know about your craft, being an edge rusher, defensive end, now after being in the league, as opposed to, your rookie year coming out of Tulsa. And here's what Gipson had to say.
And you had a good thing going with the Bears. I think you had seven or eight sacks in a year, and I think it was like 20 or 21. Did you feel like that was your bust out year back then?
I did, man. I did. But, looking back now, especially being a vet, I know it's a lot of things that I could have done better, a lot of things I could have, tuned into that I think would have helped me out even more back then. But, you live and you learn.
Yeah, you play a position. I don't know if people know this, but you play a position that's very much about technique.
Yes, sir.
And so the old guys know more than the young guys, huh?
Exactly, yeah. I'm starting to learn. The older I get in this league, I learn more and more.
Yeah. How are you different as a rusher coming now compared to Tulsa?
Now I'm more, sort of finesse, obviously more technical. I learned to play with power. I think that's opened up my pass rush a lot, and I've seen great results from that. So I think I need to get better with my hands, and I think that'll eventually take me to another level.
You had a lot of success in the preseason. Was it a challenge at all to adapt to the wide nine and what they're doing here?
No, man. Here they let their guys pin their ears back and go get after the quarterback. It's not much dropping back or going in reverse. So I think that's the best thing that's helped me in this scheme. Just being able to keep my eyes straight. Being attack and aggressive, and I think that overall helped me out this preseason a lot.
Yeah. Great guy to talk to, man. Great guy to talk to. And I think this is, I hope nobody plucks him off the Niners practice squad, because this guy can do it, man. He can go get the quarterback. You saw it in the preseason, and, his hand placement is way better than it used to be, but this guy's got the ability to heat up the quarterback off the edge. He's got some moves. He's got some knowledge. He's been in the league. He knows some of the tricks of the trade, and, he's solid. I thought this was to me, when you see a guy like this on your practice squad, you got to feel pretty good, because yes, you got Huff, and you got Bosa, and you got Mykel, and you've got Samo, and you've got Yatir Gross-Matos, and it's like, you look at these guys, you're like, wow, you got a nice little group there. But then knowing that, if anybody goes down, you got a Trevis Gipson sitting right there. This guy's had a 7.5 sack season before. It's funny too. My old buddy Bill Urbanek, the late Bill Urbanek, who coached D-line and was such a great coach, used to say, "Larry, let me tell you, boy, the youth is wasted on the young." and he's like, "It's never more true on that defensive line," and it really is true. The younger guys are fast, and they can recover fast, and they can bend the edge, and they've got all kinds of energy. But it's so much about your ability to get by that tackle, and, how you deal with, how you place your hands on him, how you move those hands and allow you to use those hands to kind of get beyond him, to swim by him, or use any number of different moves or counters to get to that quarterback. It's so much a technique-rich position, and Gipson's all about it. It's funny. I had to ask him about playing for Chris, because anybody who has played for other guys, Kasarik is just full bore. He's just screaming and yelling. But it's also great because he just gets guys fired up. And I asked him about playing in this wide nine scheme and playing for Kasarik.
He's just full energy. I love watching him coach you guys, but he's yelling and screaming. What's it like to play for him?
Man, he's a tremendous coach, man. And those are the type of coaches you want to play for. The guys that lay it all out on the line, do or die, don't have any ounce of lackadaisical in them. And I think that's something that's overall, poured into my game. Him telling me, hey, power can help you do a lot of things, and I saw it in the preseason. So, I'm excited to continue to learn with him, be able to get coached by him, and see where my game goes.
So, and it's funny when you see these guys. Chris is such a passionate coach. And that's the one thing. It's like, dude, if you're not all in and you're being coached by this guy, well, guess what? He is all in. And so if he's all in, it's like, it almost sends a message to the players. Hey, man, he's all in. You should be all in as well. And then I asked Gipson about Bosa and Huff, because you got a couple guys there, who really, they're different, but they're really outstanding and dynamic off the edge. And, it's like anything else. It's like these guys are all the same, right? It's like, it could be a group of authors or a group of whatever. They all play the same position. So, Gipson watches a guy like Bosa, and tries to copy a couple things that he does. And then you watch a guy like Huff and you're like, well, wait a second, that doesn't look the same, but maybe you could copy something that he does. And these are two of the more dynamic rushers, edge rushers, and they're on the same team. And I asked Trevis Gipson what he thought of Nick Bosa and Bryce Huff, and if he's been able to kind of steal anything from these guys.
You got a locker that's near Bosa. You guys obviously play the same spot. I always hear guys say, hey, his hands and feet are tied together.
Yeah.
Like, what does that, tell us what that means, and what have you been able to kind of learn from him or glean from him just watching him in practice the last few weeks?
Man, he takes one of our coaching tips. I'm not going to reveal, but he takes it down, to the T. And I think he's mastered it. They say you're afraid of the guy that mastered one kick, 1,000 times instead of the guy that mastered 10,000 kicks. But it's when he gets down and hand in the dirt, it's go time. And you can tell everything looks the same until he pulls out the magic trick.
Yeah. And then you got Huff on the other side.
Yes.
He's a totally different look, but also his choreographed first three steps are crazy. I mean, this guy's first three steps are got to be as good as almost anybody off the edge. Huh?
Oh, yeah, very fast guy. Nickname Bugatti.
Yeah.
That's his nickname.
There you
go. Just seeing him come off the line, man, his pad level, his speed of his hands, everything, it all ties together. Those are two players that I'm tremendously looking forward to learn from and continue to play next.
You gotta love a nickname like Bugatti for Bryce Huff. But yeah, I mean, this is, game recognizes game. This guy's a defensive end. He understands, what it takes to be good, right? And then now he's sitting there behind a guy like Bosa and Bryce Huff, and they're both awesome, but they do it differently. And just it's interesting to hear a guy like that kind of, say, hey, look, I'm watching it, and I'm learning. We're all students in this thing. And the players are no different. And, the best players are always learning and always getting better and are open-minded about that aspect of the game. As you can tell, guys, I mean, I love talking to the non-stars. I mean, we can go talk to Trent Williams. We can go talk to Kittle and CMC and Fred and Bose. I mean, believe me, it's great talking to those guys too. But it is cool to go into that room and find some of these other guys, especially some of the veteran players who have been in the league and have some wisdom, especially if you get them in the right day and they're in the right frame of mind and they're open-minded about kind of sharing. So good stuff there from Skyy Moore and Trevis Gipson. Let's play one more. We've got Mykel Williams, and Mykel's a young guy, but, man, he looks amazing over the guard. And I asked him about it today because it's just – against the tackles, it's like he wins with his initial move or he doesn't win, and he has a lot of work to do. And they're going to have to coach him up, and he's really raw. But, I mean, the traits are awesome. I mean, the traits are awesome. His motor, his aptitude, his long arms, his power, his speed. He's a very unique, big-bodied defensive end athlete. There's no question about that. And, I asked him, based on what I've seen, he dominates in the interior as a rusher. But as an edge rusher, as I said, if he doesn't win with his initial move, he doesn't typically win. Anyway, I asked him about it today, and then I think Jennifer Leachan might have followed up. But here's a little Mykel Williams talking about, rushing over the guard as an interior rusher as opposed to rushing off the edge.
Rushing over the guard. Did you do a lot of that at Georgia?
I did. Almost every third down outside of a couple, I was inside rushing the guard at Georgia. So it's nothing foreign to me here.
Do you like it? I mean, it seems like you got a major speed advantage inside.
Yeah, I do.
Do you like being inside or outside more?
Either or. It just depends on where the coach wants me to be. Like, I don't have a preference.
Yeah, he and it's interesting. It's like the bigger the gap, the more the guard's in trouble. You know what I mean? If it's tight quarters, the guard, is probably going to be okay. But if there's a big opening there, Mykel's got kind of wiggle. He can kind of the way almost like a guy who's driving the rim. kind of gives you a little bit of a shimmy and then gets you on an edge. He can do a little bit of a shimmy like that and then shoot an edge and then kind of ride that edge all the way to the front of the quarterback's face mask. I mean, he just really is strong. If you give him a lane, he can take it. And he's just, you see some of these guards and it's like when they get in open spaces against Mykel, they're just like, you can kind of tell. It's like they know there's a number of different things that he can do to beat them and get by them. He can beat them with power. He can dip that shoulder. He's got a little bit of a spin move that is really coming on. I mean, it really looks quite a bit better later in camp than it did earlier. So he's got, some different things that he can do to get by the guards inside. And just, you heard him say it there. It's like, hey, yeah, they used me a lot as an interior rusher. And I think the Niners, that interior rusher who can get home is so valuable, so valuable. And I think this guy's going to man that role for the Niners. Watching Denver this summer, they have Savion Jones from LSU. He's going to be that interior rusher for them. And I think both guys have the ability to really, I'm not saying pile up double-digit sacks, but I would say 5 or 6 sacks. I could easily see both those guys going for 5 or 6 sacks. I really could. So there you go. A little Skyy Moore, a little Trevis Gipson, and a little Mykel Williams. I took a picture of a thing on the wall in the locker room, and the PR staff was like, no, you can't take that picture. So I deleted the picture. And it basically just was like the Niners team rules. And it's interesting. That's the beauty of football is there's not a lot of rules. They don't have a lot of rules, but the rules they have, they care a lot about. And I thought it was interesting. One of them is be on time. It's like, you know what? It's just like a regular staple, whether you're talking to 15-year-olds or 25-year-olds, if you're playing football, if you're in if it's a medical field, a legal field, a school, a radio station, be on time. Be on time. It's kind of universal, right? Shows no respect for the other guys if you're not on time. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Don't make excuses. I love that one, man. I love that rule too. It's like these are almost great rules for life, right? That's what I love about these 3 rules. Be on time. Don't make excuses. God, is there anything more tired than, an excuse from anybody? I don't want to hear any excuses. I don't want to hear them from my kids. I don't want to hear them from my friends. I don't want to hear them from my coworkers. Don't make excuses. Excuses are lame. Excuses are weak. Don't make excuses. Own your responsibilities. Live up to your obligations, that kind of thing. And don't make excuses if you fall short. Own it. You'd be much better off. And I always tell my kids the same thing. Own it. If you make a mistake, that's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. But if you try to compound your mistake by not owning it or trying to blame it on somebody else, that reflects poorly on your character. So be on time. Don't make excuses. And I love the third one. Protect the team. And I think it was actually the first one. Protect the team. And what does that mean? That just means don't throw your teammates under the bus. Protect the team at every turn. You're going to be asked questions that are going to be, put you sometimes in you could put a teammate in a questionable light or say something that in some way could cause somebody else stress or whatever. Don't, protect the team, be smart. If you have an ability to say something that's going to protect one of your teammates, do that. Stand up for one another. This is a team. It's like it's different than other professions. This is actually a team. So I thought that was interesting. Be on time. Don't make excuses and protect the team. And I love that. I mean, I love those rules, and I think those are great rules. Heck, I probably have those rules in my own family for my own kids. All right. Thanks to all of you guys for checking this out tonight. Today's show, or I should say tonight's show or tonight's video, is sponsored by our good friends at Habas Law. We love Habas Law. For more than 40 years, Omar Habas and his son Tarek have been standing up for the people right here in the Bay Area. They're fierce. They're relentless attorneys. They don't back down until justice is done. I feel like I know something about attorneys because my dad was worked in the city attorney's office for 40 years, and my brother's a judge and a long time practicing attorney. My sister's an attorney, and it's like, there are good attorneys, there are bad attorneys, and that's what I love about Omar and Tarek and the Habas Law Group. They are fantastic. They will fight to make it right. And when you're injured, insurance companies, will try to, they're going to try to do what they can do to not pay you, right? They're going to try to minimize your pain and minimize the whole thing, and you're going to try to, hopefully get what's fair. And Habas Law is going to make sure that the insurance companies pay attention and that they pay up. So they know the playbook because they've been battling insurance companies for decades, and they've been beating these insurance companies for decades. So what I love about them is they're really rooted here in the community. These are not guys that are in LA or another part of the country. It's not some nationwide thing. They're rooted right here. These guys are official partners of Bay Area institutions like the Giants, the Earthquakes, the Sharks, San Jose State, Santa Clara. And it's not just advertising, they're really aligned with the whole Bay Area community. So if you need someone in your corner, and when you need someone good, you really need somebody, call the firm the insurance companies hope that you don't call, Habas Law. They'll fight to make it right. Visit their website, habaslaw.com. Once again, habaslaw.com. We've got the nice wrap on the bottom of the screen there. Habas Law, 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. Omar and Tarek are awesome, and I'm really excited that the Krug Show is associated now with Habas Law, and thanks to Habas Law for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Great guys. They do an incredible job. And a lot of times in these situations, we have a lot of fear. They have none. This is what they do, and they do it really, really well. So Habas Law, thanks to Omar and Tarek, and thanks to Habas Law. All right, that's going to do it. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube,